Look at your tomato patch for a second. All spring and summer, you babysit it. You water, you tie, you prune, you fight hornworms, split skins, and that one week where everything looks fine until it isn't. And then the season flips. A cold night shows up, and those vines that took all that attention are done. Now here's the better question. What if you could plant once and still be picking fruit when the rest of the yard looks brown and quiet? And what if, when you handle that fruit the right way, you could keep it for months without depending on the grocery store? Today, I'm going to show you the plant that does that for a lot of families in warmer climates and for colder climates in a pot. And I'll show you the simple peel and unlock trick that makes most first-timers go from nope to, oh, that's actually good. Let's talk about the Tamarillo, also called the tree tomato. If you're trying to build a calmer, steadier food rhythm, especially for a family, annual crops can feel like a treadmill. They're still worth growing. Tomatoes are amazing, but they're also a short sprint with a hard stop. The Tamarillo is different. It's not a forever tree like an apple, but compared to a tomato vine, it's a long-term project in the best way. A plant you don't have to restart from scratch every spring. Most sources put its productive life in the 5 to 12 year range, with peak production after a few years. So no, this isn't plant once and you're done forever, but it is plant once, harvest for years, and that's a huge shift. And here at Family Yard Kitchen, that's what we're always aiming for. Small routines that make home food feel less fragile and more steady. So in this video, I'll walk you through 4 things. Why this plant can fill the winter gap, why so many people misunderstand the fruit, the quick kitchen trick that fixes that, and how to grow it, either in the ground or in a big pot. Let's start with the real reason this is worth your attention. Here's the honest truth about most backyard growing. We don't usually fail because we're lazy. We fail because we try to run a farm schedule on a family schedule. Annual tomatoes are high reward, but they ask a lot. They want consistent watering. They want support. They want pest checks. They want your attention right when summer is already busy. And then they're gone. A Tamarillo doesn't remove work entirely. Nothing does. But it changes the kind of work. Instead of replanting every year, you're mostly maintaining a living plant. That means you're investing time once and then you're getting returns for years. Now, let's set expectations clearly, because that's how you keep trust with your own garden. A mature Tamarillo can produce a lot of fruit, but the typical good year in home conditions is often in the range of about 44 to 66 pounds, around 20 to 30 kilograms, depending on climate, pruning, feeding, and whether it's protected from wind and frost. Some people do better in ideal conditions, but I'd rather you plan on realistic numbers and be pleasantly surprised. And the real advantage isn't just pounds, it's timing. Tomatoes flood you in late summer, and late summer is already overflowing. Zucchini, peppers, beans, everything at once. But the Tamarillo often ripens later, and in mild climates it can carry fruit into the cooler season. That matters because winter is when fresh flavor and fresh vitamins feel scarce. This is how you start building a yard that doesn't just produce, but actually supports your family's calendar. And if you like this kind of plant, things that give you food without restarting the whole system every spring, hit subscribe. Not because we're chasing trends, but because we're building a library of slow, steady backyard strategies you can actually use. Now, before we talk growing zones and pots, we have to talk about the fruit itself, because this is where most people quit too early. A Tamarillo is often called a tree tomato, but it's not going to taste like a sweet slicer tomato. So if you go into it expecting a garden tomato, you're going to be disappointed. The flavor is more grown up. It's tangy, savory, a little bit tropical around the edges. Some people describe it like tomato meets passion fruit with a squeeze of lime. Bright, bold, not watery. Now here's the big problem. The Tamarillo has a thick, sometimes bitter skin. And if you bite through that skin like an apple, especially on a fruit that isn't perfectly ripe, you'll think, why would anyone grow this? That's the misunderstanding that kills this plant for people, because the good part isn't the skin. The good part is what's under it. And that thick skin, as annoying as it is in your mouth, actually has a purpose in the yard. It's like natural packaging. It helps protect the fruit from bruising and some pests. It gives you a little breathing room at harvest time. But we need to be honest about storage too, especially because a lot of videos get careless here. Fresh tamarillos don't sit on the counter for half a year. In a typical kitchen, you might get about a week at room temperature, depending on ripeness. In the fridge, often a couple of weeks, sometimes pushing towards 2 or 3 if they're firm and handled gently. So where does the months idea come from? It comes from what happens after you unlock the fruit and preserve it the right way, freezing or safe canning recipes, or making shelf-stable sauces using tested methods. And that's what we're building toward. Because once you learn the peel trick, the Tamarillo stops being weird fruit with a bitter jacket and starts being a reliable winter ingredient. So, let's do the trick. All right, this is the moment that changes everything. You don't need fancy tools. You don't need a dehydrator. You don't need to turn your kitchen into a science lab. You just need heat, cold, and 1 minute of patience. Here's the calm, reliable way to peel Tamarillo. Bring a small pot of water to a gentle boil. Take your tamarillos and make a small, shallow cut, just a tiny score through the skin. A little line is enough. Drop the fruit into boiling water for about 30 to 60 seconds. You're not cooking it, you're just loosening the skin. Immediately move it into cold water, an ice bath if you have it, or just very cold tap water. Now peel. If it's ripe, the skin slips off like a jacket. And what you're left with is the best part, bright, tangy flesh that finally tastes the way it was meant to taste. Now, what do you do with it? Here are 3 simple ways that work for real families. Number 1, quick winter salsa bowl. Take the peeled flesh and mash it with salt, onion, and a little chili. Add lime if you like that sharp edge. Spoon it on eggs, beans, or roasted potatoes. Number 2, a simmered sauce that freezes beautifully. Put peeled tamarillo flesh in a pot with onion and a pinch of salt. Simmer it down until thick. Then freeze it in small jars or freezer-safe containers. This is where the month's storage becomes real, because a frozen sauce or puree can hold quality for a long stretch of winter, and you can pull out just what you need without buying anything. Number 3, sweet savory chutney style. Tamarillo shines in that sweet and tangy space, especially alongside chicken, pork, or roasted vegetables. If you want shelf-stable pantry jars, follow a tested, trusted canning recipe from a reliable source. That's the safe way to do it. No guessing with acidity, no improvising. And this is a great moment to save the video, because this blanch and peel technique isn't just for Tamarillo. It's the same basic kitchen skill used for tomatoes and peaches and more. Once you learn it, you start unlocking a whole shelf of simple food habits. Now that you know how to make the fruit actually enjoyable, let's talk about how to grow this plant without turning it into a high-maintenance house guest. First, climate honesty. Tamarillo is frost sensitive. If you're in a warm zone, often cited around USDA 9 to 11, and especially happy in 10 and 11, you can grow it outside in the ground with a lot less trouble. But if you get real freezes, you have 2 good options. Option A, grow it in a pot. This is the simplest bridge for most families. Use a big container, bigger than you think, because the plant grows fast. Keep it outside during warm months for sun and airflow. Before cold nights arrive, bring it into a bright spot indoors or a protected area. Think of it like a citrus tree that visits the patio in summer and comes inside when the weather changes. Option B, use microclimates and protection. If you're right on the edge of warm zones, plant it in the warmest spot you have, near a wall, protected from wind, and with good drainage. Now, a few care notes that matter. Wind protection is huge. Tamarillo can have shallow roots and can snap or lean in strong winds, especially when loaded with fruit. Watering matters, but drainage matters more. It likes consistent moisture, but it does not want to sit in soggy soil. If your yard holds water, raise the planting area or improve drainage. Pruning keeps it reachable. You don't want a tree you can't harvest. Shape it early so it branches at a comfortable height and stays manageable, because the best harvest is the one you can actually pick safely. And here's a quiet truth a lot of gardeners learn late.
A plant that works with your life will stay in your yard. A plant that fights your life becomes compost. So build this one in a way that feels calm. So, here's the takeaway. This isn't about replacing tomatoes. Tomatoes are still worth the summer effort. This is about adding one plant that changes the rhythm of your year. Plant once and get years of harvest. In the right setup, you can get fruit when the garden is quiet, and when you peel it the right way, you can turn it into sauces and freezer stores that carry you through winter. Just remember the honest version. It's productive for years, not forever. Fresh fruit stores for weeks, not 6 months on the counter. But preserved well, it can support you for months when the garden isn't giving you much else. If you want, tell me in the comments, vine or tree, which one fits your yard right now?
Finally, if you're building a yard that stays productive through the seasons, my book, Veggie Matchmakers, is a gentle guide to pairing crops so your beds work smarter, not harder. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.